Yo, what's up guys, welcome back to another video. This is a reaction to how US military smoked Russian mercenaries, and this is a video that was posted 3 weeks ago, so it's a relatively new one. And yeah, I don't know what this is based on, we're going to see, but I've seen a lot of people have been reacting to it, and I've seen it's got a lot of views in a short space of time. And obviously the thumbnail, the title, I can understand why, but I don't know what it's relating to, if it's to do with an event recently. I know there's a lot of conflicts happening recently between Russia and the US and other stuff, but I don't think there would have been anything involving this, because otherwise they'd be worried it would lead to a nuclear war or something. But we're going to check this out, hopefully going to enjoy. Links are in the description to my Patreon if you want to see some more of my reactions to different things that I can't post to YouTube for whatever reason. And yeah, let's just see what this is about.
When the first vehicle in the convoy suddenly blew up, the Russian mercenaries knew something was wrong. Their objective, to capture an oil field in eastern Syria, was supposed to be a routine mission. The enemy, they knew by then, would have fled long ago at the sight of 500 battle-hardened Russian and Syrian fighters. But instead, the attack had come to an abrupt halt, and explosion after explosion shook the ground. It wasn't long before AC-130 gunships, Predator drones, Apache helicopters, and fighter jets were circling over the battlefield, pounding the attackers from every imaginable angle. What the Russian forces didn't know was that the oil field was not defended by any fighters, but by American Special Operations Forces, supported by the most powerful air force in the world. And so, within a few minutes, the routine mission turned into hell on earth, and into one of the deadliest engagements for the notorious Russian mercenary group Wagner. To stop the rapid advance of the self-proclaimed Islamic State, the US had deployed troops in Syria since 2014. They supported the so-called Syrian Democratic Forces, or SDF. A year later, Russia also intervened in the fight against ISIS, but on the side of Assad's Syrian government.
It's just that they want to get involved so they can just oppose the US at this point. It's just so fascinating how that's just how. Is this what would be? This isn't what. No, this isn't a proxy war, is it? What's a proxy war? Is when. Let me just see, just to learn, because obviously they've got their soldiers fighting themselves as well. So that wouldn't be what a proxy war is. Proxy war or proxy warfare is a war in which opposite sides use third parties as substitutes for fighting each other. So they've also got their own soldiers. So this isn't what a proxy war is then, right? But it's just fascinating how obviously the US have sided, and then the Russia just choose to side the opposite, and it's just like, wow, here we go again.
Forces. The SDF and the Syrian army were never seen as allies, but in keeping with the saying, "the enemy of my enemy is my friend," both parties at least mostly avoided each other. After years of fighting, both armies managed to drive out the terrorists, and by 2018, ISIS held only a fraction of its original bases.
Oh, okay, so they weren't complete opposites. So they weren't the same. They weren't necessarily fighting each other, but they weren't not. But they were focusing on trying to get ISIS out. Okay, that makes a bit more sense then. That makes a lot more sense.
To prevent an unintended conflict between Russian and US-supported armies, a deconfliction line was formed along the Euphrates River, which effectively bisects Syria.
Okay.
In addition, both parties were able to contact each other through special telephone channels that were kept clear at any time. But despite all these precautions, on February 7th, just a few miles from the Euphrates River, the first deadly clash between Russians and Americans since the Cold War occurred. Late in the evening of February 7th, 2018, 500 Russian and Syrian fighters attacked an SDF military base. The base was located about 5 miles east of the Euphrates River and controlled one of the country's main oil fields. Thus, like most oil fields, the area was officially on the Syrian Democratic side of the ceasefire line, but this did not stop the Syrian-Russian troops in any way. The attackers were supported by various Russian-made battle tanks, as well as mortars, artillery, and rocket launchers, with which they began shelling the SDF base without warning. In addition, Russian Air Force aircraft were on standby to provide air support, but initially remained on the ground. However, while everything was initially going according to plan for the attacking forces, the phone suddenly rang in the Russian headquarters near the Euphrates. A representative of the US military was on the line and wanted to know whether Russian fighters were currently trying to take the military base at the Conoco oil fields. Here, not only the Syrian Democratic Forces were under heavy artillery fire, but also their allies, American Green Berets, Army Rangers, Marines, and various support units. After the Russians had explicitly denied the question whether the enemy were their troops, it was clear to the caller.
Wow.
Whoever was currently taking fire at his soldiers, he would feel the full force of the American military in just a few moments. The response to the attack on their military base was prompt and tremendous. Even before the Russian convoy reached its starting position for the attack, the first and last vehicles were taken out in a classic ambush maneuver, trapping the forces in the middle.
Oh, wow.
The missiles came from an American Reaper drone, which had been targeting the convoy for some time. However, to the Russian Wagner mercenaries on the ground, the drone was invisible, and they had a hard time understanding where the fire suddenly came from. It didn't take long for more shells to hit, spreading chaos on the battlefield. American artillery and HIMARS rocket launchers engaged the convoy, inflicting numerous casualties. While the Russian forces were still trying to realize what was happening, 4 Apache helicopters appeared on the horizon. Although the gunships were several miles away, no one could hide from their precise infrared optics. The laser-guided Hellfire missiles found their target in the Russian battle tanks, while the 30mm cannon forced the enemy infantry to withdraw. Few of them were able to escape the explosive shells, and a Russian survivor later reported that they suffered about 200 casualties within the first few minutes, almost half of the entire attack force.
Oh my days. All because why were they trying to attack? Was it just... Why wouldn't you have just went back? You know what's going to happen at this point. You're going to get absolutely destroyed, yet you're still just staying there. You're on the phone acting as if it's not you. Like, what is going on?
Reports that are on TV about, well, you know, about Syria and the 25 people that are wounded there from the Syrian army. And, well, to make it short, we've had our kicked. So one squadron lost 200 people. Right away, another one lost 10 people. And I don't know about the third squadron, but it got torn up pretty badly too. So 3 squadrons took a beating. The Yankees attacked. First, they blasted the out of us by artillery, and then they took 4 helicopters up and pushed us in a merry-go-round with heavy caliber machine guns. They were all shelling the holy out of it, and our guys didn't have anything besides the assault rifles. Nothing at all, not even mentioning shoulder-fired SAMs or anything like that. So they tore us to pieces for sure, put us through hell. And the Yankees knew for sure that the Russians were coming, that it was us, Russians. Our guys were coming to commandeer an oil refinery, and the Yankees were holding it. We got our beat rough. My men called me. They're there drinking now. Many have gone missing. It's a total It sucks. Another takedown. While AC-130 gunships circled over the battlefield engaging individual targets, large B-52 strategic bombers completely destroyed the convoy.
They got more coming. After all that, they've still got more coming.
Those who managed to escape hid in buildings, but even there they were not safe for long. Late into the night, the attackers were hunted by F-15 fighter jets, whose bombs penetrated even the best cover.
Wow.
The new 5th-generation air superiority fighter F-22 Raptor was also used, but for the soldiers on the ground, it no longer made any difference who was pounding them. The Russian contractors did not stand a chance against the American Air Force. Although there were rumors that some pilots from the nearby Russian air base were asking for permission to take off, the blue-painted Su-34s and 35s remained on the ground. The attackers' casualties were so heavy that in the middle of the battle, one of the Russian commanders called in and asked for a ceasefire, indicating that Russian military was in contact with the attacking fighters after all. A published call from a Wagner mercenary sums up events in Syria. Just had a call with a guy, so they basically formed a convoy but didn't get to their positions by some 300 meters. One unit moved forward. The convoy remained in place about 300 meters from the others. The others raised the American flag, and their artillery started ours really hard. Then their choppers flew in and started everybody. Ours just running around. Just got a call from a pal, so there are about 215 killed. They simply rolled ours out hard. Made their point. What the ours were hoping for in there? That they'll run away themselves? Hope to scare them away? Lots of people f***ing so bad they can't be f***ing ID'd. There were no foot soldiers on the American side. They simply f***ed our convoy with artillery.
Jeez.
When the battle ended early next morning, there was nothing left of the convoy of vehicles. All combat vehicles have been destroyed, with the exception of a single battle tank and armored personnel carrier. Of approximately 500 Russian and Syrian attackers, at least 200 were killed or wounded. One of the mercenaries later reported that in some places they found solidified melted sand and gun barrels bent from the heat. There were no casualties on the American side.
Not one.
And no reports of damaged aircraft. Only one of the SDF soldiers in the base at the oil field was wounded by Russian fire, but survived. The incident sparked outrage on both Russian and Syrian sides, but since the Americans had repeatedly reassured themselves through the Russian officials, they could not be blamed.
Of course not. I mean, if you've spoken and they're still attacking, what the hell else are they going to expect? They expect to be allowed to attack and then nothing given back. Like, if you don't want to get... Obviously, you don't want anyone to lose life, right? But if you're attacking someone, you're attacking them and you're then expecting nothing back. What world are you in? Like, people are going to fight back. I don't really understand that sort of mindset, but...
According to...
I am surprised I didn't need something more, because it's between Russia and the US, maybe Putin would be like, nah, this can't run. We've got to fight back, and then he'll do some craziness, but I guess not.
Intercepted phone calls between the leader of Wagner and Russian ministers. The attack was even said to be an order from Moscow. For Wagner Group fighters, the Battle of Conoco Fields went down in history as Red February and was one of their most humiliating engagements. At least some of them received a medal specially made for this event. It shows a Russian soldier surrounded by flames, heroically shooting at an American Apache helicopter. A scene that probably never took place in this way. The Syrian Democratic Forces and their American allies had successfully defended the base at the oil field and continued to fortify it. The demonstration of their superior air power was meant to be a warning to any hostile forces not to mess with the wrong people. Interestingly, when Syrian and Russian fighters gathered in the area again about a month later, the Americans once more contacted the Russian commander in charge. This time, it was not long after the end of the phone call that the entire Russian-Syrian fighting force hastily withdrew.
Wow.
For those who made it this far, thanks for watching. If you want to help us produce more content, feel free to leave a like and tell us what you think of the attack on the US base.
Well, this was fascinating. I've never heard about this before, but it was a lot more recent than I expected as well. Russia, there are no Russians in the area. The US, it's funny because you think you're lying, but you're not. Imagine being the Mercs and you're getting shelled by some 19-year-old loaded up with Rip It Bang and a lip full of dip from Mars. I don't even know what the hell that means. It wasn't any misunderstanding. They were testing our resolve and capabilities and they received the answer. I mean, it's a weird topic, right? But if you're getting attacked, you're not going to just allow that, are you? Let's be honest. Doesn't matter who you are, you're not going to allow it. If it was the other way around, I'm sure Russia would retaliate. They try and retaliate the same way, but probably wouldn't go the same way, but they would still respond in a way where they're not going to take it, you know? But, yeah, if there's more videos like this you want to see, let me know in the comments what there is, and I'll be sure to do so. But, yeah, until next time, peace.